Hi, I'm Cynthia Schiller. Please like and subscribe. We're going to talk about what do we do if we have a narcissistic family member? How do we handle it? Do we go no contact? Do we block them? So first, let's talk about the signs that one of our close family members might be narcissistic or have actual narcissistic personality disorder. So, is the family member gaslighting you? So, gaslighting is a manipulation tactic where the person intentionally distorts the truth in order to manipulate someone. And that can kind of make you crazy. That's what the crazy making thing is all this gaslighting. So, a narcissistic family member or parent may gaslight you using this technique to try to convince you that some events that you believe transpired actually differently from the way you remember it. And they do that in order to cover their abusive behavior. So that does make you start to question your reality. So we got to start to remember that if we deal with narcissists, if we keep them in our realm, that we're going to be abused. Uh, our reality is going to be different. So I'm just going to go over a few signs and then we'll go into it deeper. But is your family member where its love is conditional? So instead of having unconditional love returned to you, this toxic family member makes you feel that you're not worth the love unless a condition of theirs is met. So you're going to have to be proving yourself to them. And narcissists want everything about them. And you often praise them, and that's how they validate their own self-esteem. They're often self-centered. So the family member is going to make everything about themselves. They can't handle not being the center of the attention. So it's going to disrupt your family gatherings. They might use narcissistic phrases such as, "You're so insecure, you're overreacting," and they're putting you down in order to elevate themselves. And if you were silenced, so whether you're trying to state how you feel and they don't want to hear it, or they'll ignore you. And long-term abuse like this can be very traumatizing. So I know some of us are wondering, what do we do? Do we give them a chance? Do we work things out? Um, but they often make us feel confused. Like right now, this viewer, it's a viewer topic request. They're a little confused on what to do. And a lot of it is we start to have self-doubt, we're unsure of our reality, and that's a sign that we're being gaslit. We're often anxious around them, walking on eggshells. The anxiety can come from just being around them or from not knowing what to expect from them. We can be afraid that they're going to have an anger outburst or a narcissistic rage, and that's just another sign. So when you feel anxious, uh, you should feel comfortable and excited to be around people. And you can also see the narcissist. They'll have other unhealthy relationships. See how they interact with other people. So if your family member is talking poorly about others in front of you, chances are they're going to do that to you too. Narcissists love to feel that they're always right. So you can express your perspective. They're just going to shut it down. They're not going to listen to it. They'll, no matter what, make it to where they win an argument. They like to pick fights. They like to give you a run for your money, and they can be very frustrating. And in these relationships, you're the one carrying the weight. You're going to feel that you're responsible for the narcissist's happiness. You feel like you always have to validate them. They might have a bunch of depressed feelings, so you're always catering to them. And it's good to love people back, but it can be overwhelming where like for example a vulnerable narcissist, you're always trying to comfort them and listen to their stories, and that's good, but when it's to the extreme and it's only one way, that's when it gets toxic. And also sometimes they'll love bomb you, and that's when you get excessive attention and admiration. They do this in order to gain your trust. So a narcissistic family member um wants to win your favor so you can provide them with praise. You can talk to the other family members about how wonderful the narcissist is because they're love bombing you. They're tricking you into believing that they're good at heart. Um, So how do we deal with this? Do we go no contact? Some of us have the family web where, you know, we want to deal with one so we can see our cousins, or we can see our grandkids or our siblings. How do we deal with it? You know, uh it's good. One of the safest things is establish a safe place. So if you are in the same household, you know, just have like a cool down room. And you know, there have to be boundaries. Narcissists don't like this though, but we got to set clear boundaries. Narcissists will always try to push your boundaries, so just remember that when you're dealing with them. This is why it is easier to go no contact, and you have to see what causes you more distress, because there's different levels of how narcissistic people are. um and we're also not clinicians. So it might be some narcissistic tendencies, but full blown narcissistic personality disorder where they have 5 out of 9 or more traits, um, those can be really toxic relationships, and they'll cause actual brain damage. I have a video on the brain damage that they cause us. So just be aware of that if you're keeping them around. It's better to go low contact if you're not willing to go no contact. Um, but set those boundaries, avoid conflict. You're going to have to mentally think, you know, what not to bring up, what not to talk about. And um, you know, it's hard because often narcissists will try to pick, kind of like fights. You have to accept and let go. You won't be able to change them. You know, we have to understand that we're not going to be able to change them. The only time somebody's going to change is if they want to. And narcissists don't like to self-reflect. They don't like to listen to reason. And they also don't get it. They just don't get it. And that's a hard concept for us to believe or understand or believe, that they honestly don't get it. They love in a different way. Um, they their love is on the supply that they're getting. It's not because of the person. Um, it's good to read read books about this, understand as much as you can on what the triggers are for a narcissist. It's good to have a support network, have some self-compassion. And you know, you got to be a strong person, because they're going to knock down that self-esteem. They're going to suck from you. You're going to have to set your boundaries. Narcissists love to push it, and you can't let even the littlest things go. Give them an inch, they'll take a mile. And you know, it's good to journal, write things down, um, keep a record for yourself, make an exit plan if you need to. um, yeah, how do you really keep them around? So it can get toxic. You know, it's good for you to possibly utilize a therapist to deal with these things, to understand how the mind works, or keep searching YouTube, because narcissists are easy to discard, so it can be very hurtful. If you don't serve the narcissist, um you know, you're gonna be trying to save this relationship, and you're going to be walking on eggshells. When you're walking on eggshells, they're going to discard you or devalue you more. It's just a vicious cycle. They might try for a little bit. You can, you know, set boundaries, like, you know, we're having a Thanksgiving, but we're, you know, not drinking, because a lot of narcissists will either drink or do drugs, or act inappropriate. So you got to set boundaries. And I know some of us, we want to keep the narcissist around because we love them. And we have to protect ourselves at the same time, because it honestly causes brain damage. And we're going to get stuck in a cycle of rumination, of trying to rewire our brains. And this viewer, I'm not sure who the narcissist in the family is. If it's a husband or wife, or a partner, those are gonna really damage you if you stay with a narcissistic person. If it's going to, moms for Thanksgiving, and let's say she was, maybe you can deal so you can see the rest of the family. Um, you can do low contact. We deal with narcissists every day, whether they're at work or the gas station or our waitress. There's narcissists all over the place, but it can be really damaging when it's where you have expectations of being loved back. And that's where it gets tricky. But it's important to see where our most distress is. Is it worth the risk? Because there's brain damage involved in this. So if you want to go to, let's say, mom's who is narcissistic so you can see your sisters at Thanksgiving, be cordial to mom and go cook with your sisters and try to make it as healthy as possible. Realize there is going to be some abuse. They're going to cut down your dinner or tell you you look fat or you're eating too much or whatever it is. It's just never healthy. It's just never healthy. But just like, I don't know, eating hot fudge sundaes, I don't know, something unhealthy. Well, you can have a little bit of it, but if you have a diet full of that, it can be toxic and lead to death. Same with emotions, same with dealing with narcissistic people. In low doses, you're going to survive. You're going to get past certain things. But we have to remember sometimes too, if the abuse was the wrong thing, like let's say you have a certain trigger. So whatever, you call me fat, or you say I'm out of style, or you say this, or, oh, you just told me I'm a rape victim. So if you said something like, well, you deserved it because you're a whore or something like that, certain things will damage you more. And narcissists will try little jabs. So just be aware, they might give you something, some kind of abuse that's gonna stick with you. Like that's just an example of where you can take certain jabs, but certain jabs might hit too hard to where they're going to be constantly on your mind. Like, why did they say that to me? I didn't deserve that. Can't they understand and how horrible that was? That it can kind of make you sicker. And you're already dealing with certain things that you're trying to overcome, and then they just bring it back into your face and they tell you you deserved it when you didn't. How do you deal with it? You realize there's a risk, you evaluate the risk, you evaluate if there's any other ways that you can do it. It depends too on the depth of narcissism, because each one is different. Some of them are just dismissive. So, mom's not talking to you. Well, that's all right. Go sit with your sisters and enjoy the party. Ask mom if she wants some coffee. She just looks at you and doesn't say anything. Kind of hurts your feelings, but you can deal with that. But if they're the raging kind, if they're the abusive kind, or if they're going to do too many damaging jabs at you, you got to evaluate which causes you more distress, being around them or being away from them. And, are you able to see the other people in the family without being around the narcissistic person? Keep it low contact if you feel you need to keep contact with them. Family is hard. Family is really hard. People don't usually change though. And for the viewer to search for answers, they're hurting you. Otherwise you wouldn't be looking for answers. So how do you deal with it? Low contact, no contact, set boundaries. And it's tough. It's tough. You got to weigh the options and just keep things you got to put it into like a superficial level to where you have no expectations of them. If they show up, they show up. If they don't, they don't. If they help, they help. If they don't, they don't. Put them into like an acquaintance type of mindset where you're cordial. Hi, good to see you. The food's over there. But if you're trying to have a connection with them, they're not good with connections. They're going to monopolize a lot of the conversations. You're going to be dismissed if you're trying to put in your 2 cents, and you got to put it in a different realm if you're going to deal with them and not take things personally, because they project onto you. So whatever horrible things they're projecting onto you is them. But they put it onto you so it feels like you. But that's their ugliness that they're putting onto you. You're not the ugly at heart person. So I hope that helps. It can be done, but you got to change your mindset. And you can't take things personally. You can't have expectations. You have to set boundaries or tell them to leave. And you're going through all this stuff to make it work. But if you tell them to leave, they're going to have that little fuck you type attitude and discard you anyways. So is it worth going through? That's a personal choice. And I can relate. I can understand. The right or wrong answer is what's going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy. So just be aware of what's going to happen and decide if it's worth it to you. So I hope that helps. Topic requests are welcome, and I'll see you in the next video.